So the spoils are shared in the end in the final derby of the season, and unfortunately for Rangers' point of view, they failed to get the 3 wins in a row to get a little bit of momentum leading into next season. And unfortunately, from Celtic's point of view, they failed to pick up the derby win that they wanted after the last two defeats, along with kind of having a bigger title party celebration at Ibrox than they were already anticipating having. In terms of how the fixture actually went, it started off similarly to the last one at Celtic Park, where Rangers were on the front foot from early doors, had a few corners, set pieces. Balogun, of course, actually hits the bar within the first 55 seconds, and maybe should have done better, but hits the bar, free header, Scales lost his man, and Rangers, of course, had a couple of other chances early on as well. Sinizalo pulling off a couple of decent saves too, and the first time the ball ended up in the net in the game was in the first half, where Nico Raskin thought he had put Rangers in front for the second derby in a row, but he made his run a little bit too early from the free kick, and he was offside. Unfortunate from his point of view, where he thought for the second game in a row, of course, that he had put his side in front. A few other maybe nip and tuck chances from there for both sides. There was also a chance before the disallowed goal that I missed, where Adamida done well to win the ball back in the middle of the park, and he's driving forward with the ball and he just undercooks his pass to James Forrest. You feel as though if he'd gotten the measurement right of this ball, then there's a very good chance that Celtic will 1-0 up in this scenario, but he undercooks the pass and Rangers get it clear. And speaking of Adamida, he gets played through on goal. I'm unsure if the presence of Suter puts him off a little bit, but he's off balance when he takes the shot, and Liam Kelly does enough to get it looked like a shoulder to it, but Adamida really should score one-on-one with the goalie in this situation, whether he's off balance or not. Celtic take the corner quickly, Arnott Engels fires it across and there's no takers, and then Rangers go up the park and it's Diamande plays the ball into Czerny, who plays a dummy. It falls to Desser's feet. Liam Scales is touch tight to him, but he tries to dive in to try and block a shot. Dessers doesn't take the shot. He skips away from Scales, and it's a good finish to make it 1-0 to Rangers just before half-time. And in fairness, you would say that given the fact that Rangers had troubled Sinizalo more than Kelly had been troubled, there was a header from Cameron Carter-Vickers from a corner as well, where Kelly done well to flick it over, but it probably would have been disallowed for offside since Adamida was standing right in front of him. And there was, of course, the Big Ida chance, so you could maybe argue that a draw at half-time would have been fair, but if you were going to lean one or so ways, Rangers did create more chances. But the second half was a different story. There was a couple of times where Rangers maybe threatened to do something, but I don't actually recall Rangers having a single shot on target in the second half. So, you know, Celtic, they had the impetus in the second half. They looked to try and get back into the game immediately, going forward a few times, just not coming off for them in the final third. And eventually, a little bit of luck, but also a bit of magic from Adamida, where Dyson Maeda has the ball played through to him by Greg Taylor. It's cut out, and then the clearance, I think it's John Suter who tries to make the clearance. He fires it off of Dyson Maeda, who afterwards of the ricochet, the ball drops to Adamida, and he takes a lovely touch, like a little heel to heel, as it were. I'm not sure what you would call it other than that, to skip away from the centre half and Connor Barron, and then he gets his shot off. It does deflect off Suter and goes into the back of the net, but the pace that the ball was travelling at, there's a good chance it would have ended up in the back of the net anyway. It was originally adjudged to have been offside. I'm not sure if they gave offside for Maeda in the build-up, or if they gave offside, they thought he was blocking Liam Kelly's line of sight in the goal. But either way, both decisions would have been incorrect, and the goal stands. You can see clearly from the first ball that he's onside, and then in the line of sight one, the angle behind the goal gives you the best one. He's clearly not blocking the eye line of Liam Kelly at all, and also Liam Kelly's reactions are not blocked whatsoever. The deflection, it does take it away from him, but it probably, in my opinion, would have ended up in the back of the net anyway. Other than that, there was another couple of big chances for Celtic. Adam Ida got the ball and tried again on the spin to hit it into the back of the net. He probably should have laid it off to Paolo Bernardo. Rangers did create some openings at times as well. There was a scramble at the goal mouth from Yanis Hadji after a ball was played into the back post area. Nico Raskin couldn't quite control it. He gets his shot off in the end, and it's a good save from Sinisalo. The ball's kind of bouncing around the area, and Callum McGregor got his body in to stop Hadji from getting on the end of it, and Hadji had to go off injured afterwards. And there was also an incident as well where Hamza Egeman fires the ball across to Cyril Dessers, who totally mishits the shot and completely slices it wide. And then right at the end of the game, after 7 minutes of added time, Reo Hatate intercepts a ball, sends Dyson Maida through, and he's finds himself one-on-one with Liam Kelly and potentially could cut it back. I haven't actually seen it back from there yet, but he just kind of runs out of steam. And to be fair to Tavernier, he did get back in and stop any Celtic players getting on the end of it for Celtic to win it right at the end, and that was the full-time whistle at that point. To be fair to Tavernier as well, he obviously gets a lot of stick for coming up against Dyson Maida and getting pretty much rinsed every time, but he dealt with Maida relatively well today, apart from when the goal actually came where Maida got in behind. There was maybe only one or two other occasions where Maida got in behind. There was, of course, the build-up to the game that Johnson was injured, Kuhn was injured, Jota, of course, out for 6 to 9 months, but there was also the rumours of Dyson Maida being injured, who missed training, and I don't think he looked himself today at times. So, Brendan Rodgers and Celtic chose to play him. He must have been fit enough to play. He played the 90 minutes as well, but he didn't look as his normal self for a lot of the game. Anyway, I think in the end, the way that the two halves went, you probably couldn't have complained if one of the two teams nicked it. You could say, yep, maybe they edged it slightly. I think maybe Rangers, if they'd nicked it in the second half in comparison, it might have been a little bit less deserved, if that's the right word, because they hadn't had a shot on target for the entire second half. But I think a draw is a somewhat fair reflection of the two halves put together anyway. And that is that going into next season. We, of course, had Celtic beat Rangers in the first meeting of the season 3-0 in the league, which sent Celtic into a decent area of clearance in the top of the league. Also helped Aberdeen out at that point in time too, of course. We had the League Cup final, which finished a draw, went to penalties, and Celtic came out on top at that point. And then, of course, we had the New Year's derby, where Rangers come away 3-0 winners, but somehow the weeks following fell further behind, which is really strange to look at. And also, of course, the last derby game at Celtic Park, where Hamza Egeman manages to fire it into the back of the net to win the match at that point. But again, the next weekend fell back behind. So it's been a strange old season from the derby point of view, where in terms of wins in 90 minutes, Rangers have come away with more wins. But in terms of the important wins, you have to say the Celtic have got the job done again. It seems that even the Rangers fans that I know are kind of in the camp of this team can get it done when the pressure's off, but when the pressure's on is when they really start to crumble. So heading into next season, it'll be very interesting to see how the first derby unfolds. What will happen in the transfer window? Brendan Rodgers has come out and said that he wants to continue to strengthen the squad. Kieran Tierney coming back to Celtic is a massive addition, of course. Will Celtic be able to kind of get that level of player in the transfer window? Unsure. if it'll be that sort of level of player. Of course, you'll get the banter between the two sides of saying, oh, Kieran Tierney's not that good, doesn't get a game for Arsenal, blah blah blah. But I think at least a lot of, if not all of the Scottish football fans will know how good Kieran Tierney is. It is just a case of getting him fully fit. And if Celtic can keep him fully fit, then it's a major improvement to the squad. It's an improvement to the squad anyway, because I thought Greg Taylor had a pretty poor game today, for example. But Rangers, of course, if and when the takeover gets finalised, how much kitty will they have available to them to improve the squad? Is it a case of having to get players out before they can get players in? And will they pony up enough cash to be able to compete with Celtic next season? It remains to be seen. But in terms of just a quick reaction to how yesterday's games went as well, Hearts, of course, got that quote-unquote new manager bounce. Lawrence Shankland playing back up front and manages to get involved in all of the goals, it seems. St Mirren keeping their European hopes alive as well, and severely denting Aberdeen's hopes of that third place finish. Hibs kind of stamping their authority over Dundee United, and Dundee United will need a big set of results now to get that third place spot, you would think, and their focus might shift to just getting that fifth place spot. St Johnstone all but gone at this point now. Motherwell managing to snatch a late winner, but that has kind of put a little bit of doubt on Dundee more so than Motherwell's safety. And other than that, we are looking forward to the next weekend's set of fixtures as well, to see what happens with that third place spot and what happens with who is going to end up playing either Livingston, Ayr United, or Partick Thistle in the playoffs, after Falkirk have confirmed that they will be replacing who looks to be St Johnstone in the league next season. Thank you very much to all the new viewers and subscribers. We are very, very close to 700 at the time of recording, so thank you very, very much for that. Please like and subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one.